Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Creative Tavern. My name is Christopher Lee. I'm a concept artist, been in the industry for about 10 years now, worked with companies such as Walt Disney Imagineering as well as Universal Creative. And I'm here today with my friend Michael Welker. Say hello, Michael.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael O. Welker. I'm a creative technologist and writer and former creative producer in the theme park industry, which is where I met Chris. And we got to work on some big theme park projects together. But recently we found ourselves in between big projects because those things often they kind of ramp up, get really busy, and then when the project's done, we go, all right, see you guys for the next one, whenever that is. Uh, but while we were in between, we decided, hey, why don't we put our heads together and do some creative projects of our own? Which led us to starting the Creative Tavern, a place for us to do creative projects and also to build a community of other like-minded creative folks. And to tell you more about that, I'm going to hand it back to Chris.
Thank you so much, Michael. Yes, and the reason why we created Creative Tavern, the Creative Tavern, is for we wanted to have a place where, all creative folks could hang out, where we could share our art with one another. It doesn't have to be art, it could be storytelling, it could be woodwork, it could be, clothes making, whatever it is. If you are creative, you are more than welcome to be in this little Twitch channel slash YouTube, of place for you. And if you're not creative at all, you're more than welcome to stay at to join us as well. Cause yeah, we're here to edify one another, to support one another, and it's always good to hang out together. Is because at least I know for myself whenever I'm designing things and I get I get stuck, and then I have Michael's like, hey Michael, what's wrong with this? Can you please take a look at it? And then he's like, well, why don't you change some stuff here there? And I'm like, oh God, why didn't I think of that? And so sometimes being in a group setting allows us to see things that we don't see ourselves, right? So it's always good to, have a friends, creative friends to give you a second opinion. And yeah, so welcome. We're very, very happy to have you guys here. And Michael, did I cover everything? I think I did. Maybe.
Almost.
Ah,
I think this is like the first time that I can actually jump in and say, you did forget some, or we forgot to mention something. Uh, we recently did complete our first project, which was to
nice.
make a video game.
Mm, 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 mm.
Neither Chris or I have ever made a video game before, so we learned how to do that. And for basically the past 6 months, we were making a game, Project Rail Shooter, which we completed at the end of September, which was our plan, and we made it, which is
Yeah.
really surprising and awesome. Um, and Chris has got a link to the game in the chat there, so you can click that link, download the game, and play it on PC.
Mhm.
Um, and if you don't have a PC or if you haven't had a chance to play the game, we also recently made a playlist on YouTube where you can watch a full playthrough of the game. So if you want to check it out that way, we've got that, or I've got a link that I'm going to put in the chat right now for that
Oh,
too.
sweet. Awesome. Thank you
Let's
so
see.
much, Michael, for
Sure.
doing that. That's awesome, man. Actually, I had the conversation with Ace on Monday, and essentially he asked me, he's
Mhm.
like, "Oh yeah, is do you guys have a Mac version of this?" I was like, "I don't think we did a Mac build
Nope.
yet, but we'll see what happens. I'll ask Michael, but yeah, we'll get back to you guys on the Mac version in the future,
Yep.
possibly."
Yeah, I actually when I went back in to make the videos for the for the playthrough that's now on live on YouTube. I've got something to say about that too. Uh, but when I went back to make those, I also tried to make a Mac build of the game, but and I may be misunderstanding this. I may be totally wrong about what I'm about to say, but it seemed like I can't actually do it for my PC. I'm going to need to port the Unity
Oh,
file to my Mac and then build it
uh-huh.
from there,
Oh, I see.
which is doable,
That's
but
weird.
I know that in the process of porting it over and then opening it on the Mac version is going to be like, hey, all this stuff's broken. And then I'm going to have to spend all this
Mm-mm-mm.
time fixing and debugging it.
Yeah.
I may do that at some point because it would be really cool to have a Mac version. Uh, but for now, that there is no Mac version. It's PC only. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the other thing I was going to say that was really frustrating My computer's not that powerful, and so when I was playing I was playing the game and using Unity's like video recorder, which is really
Mm-hmm.
handy. Like it's really
Mm-hmm.
awesome. You just hit record and it automatically starts playing the game, and then starts the video recording at the appropriate time. It handles all um, the video file format and audio and all this and the output and all that stuff. It's super convenient. I didn't have to edit anything. I just played, through the levels. But because my computer like isn't that strong, it was like simultaneously processing the game and processing the
Mm-hmm.
video production. So yeah, you know all about this, Chris. Where you've got
Yeah.
multiple like I got Photoshop open and Unity open and Discord, and I'm streaming to Twitch and got OBS. And it's like my computer's this close to catching on fire.
Yeah.
So let me hurry up and finish what I'm doing in Photoshop and close that. So yeah, I got to experience that, and it was really frustrating because I was playing the game and I was like, well, I got to show off a little bit here. I want to show people that you can play through this game without the invulnerability on and actually beat it. Um, and I was doing that, and everything was going fine until I got to the final level. There's so much shit happening in that level. There's so many things going on. Um, Normally, I can play through that and beat it, and like I can kill all of the drones. I can hit all of the regulators and blow up the core without dying, without the invulnerability on. No problem. Um, can't do it because it was like the system was struggling to process frames, and even some of the things that were normally smooth were like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the thing that they ran into where when the ship would want to turn, look sideways or backwards, sometimes it would go like as it was moving,
Oh.
right?
Oh wow.
That came back.
Oh geez.
It's not in the like if you just as long as your computer can handle it, if you're just playing the game like that, you're not going to see that. It's going to be a nice
Right.
smooth turn. But because I was running this video recording at the same time, that
Mm-hmm.
came back, and it did this weird like it introduced all these bugs that weren't there before, where it would like certain enemies when I was shooting them, they would get stuck in their like firing animation, and so like
Mm-hmm.
the drones, the regular T drones shoot 3 bullets, right? They go pew pew pew,
Yeah.
and they would like shoot one, freeze for a second, and like would not respond to attacks, and so I'm like shooting them, and nothing's happening, and then they would shoot another bolt and then take like a hit and then freeze and then shoot the third and final bolt and then you could shoot them again.
Uh.
And so they would be stuck there just like flying with me for a while, and I couldn't like hit them, and there were other things like the regulator and the even the core, like at the very final part where you're like shooting the core
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing else there, you're just like blasting the core. It would just stop registering hits, and so like
Oh
I'm
wow.
moving closer and closer to the core, and I'm like, it's not. And like as the camera's panning up, I'm like aiming down to like just try to get the last couple shots in, and just like
Yeah.
barely blew it up before it
Nice.
peeled away. I was like, this is. It was so frustrating, and so I played through and kept dying and kept dying and kept dying because my hits weren't registering, and so I eventually gave up trying to shoot all the regulators and was just like, I'm gonna shoot the ones that I can, and then I'm just gonna try to kill the drones so I can stay alive. And in the future, I'll prove to everybody that you can beat that level without invincibility and kill all the
Mm-hmm.
regulators.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've done it. I know it can be done,
Yeah.
and I couldn't do it for this playthrough, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
I,
been
I
nuts.
I remember because remember you and I were on Discord, and then and while I'm simultaneously streaming, and apparently I can't kill any bots
Yeah.
because of the frame rate or something, like it's just it slowed the game down,
Mhm.
and it the bots did not register me firing at them, and then so because of that it's just multiple enemies just started showing up, and it was all of a sudden everyone's like shooting at me. I'm just like, oh god, this is so
Yeah, and you're
painful,
just overwhelmed.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's very interesting. That's so interesting. But the yeah, thank you for still, recording it. I'm curious. So you recorded using Unity, right? What if you used OBS? I'm curious. Like, cause you
I
OBS.
I bet that would work better.
Uh, 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 uh,
I
uh,
think
uh.
the picture quality probably wouldn't be as good.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I bet it would be smoother. So yeah, in the future, if and when I get around to doing the like proof that you
Yeah.
can beat that level completely without dying, and no invincibility. That's probably how I'll try to do it, is with
Nice.
OBS.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. And thank you so much again for doing that recording, as well as creating like a really beautiful screenshot of our game.
Oh
It
yeah.
really it looks so good. I'm just like, oh wow, this is awesome, man. And unfortunately, Unity ate your homework. That image will never be
On
replicated
forever.
ever again. So
Yep.
it's that one image. And hell, we could sell it as an NFT and make millions of dollars. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. This will
Yeah,
never be
yeah.
replicated.
I
I
know.
think I got it here. Let's see. We want better text readability. Go at. There it is. The rail shooter promo art.
Yeah,
Um,
that is so cool.
yeah. And just for the folks at home, the way I made that is I went into Unity, took our various assets and placed them into an empty scene, and just kind of cheated the perspective. So like those spider drones aren't even actually they're just floating in space,
Yeah.
but they're floating in space relative to where the camera is and like in front of the
Mhm,
asteroid
mhm,
thing.
mhm,
That it
mhm.
looks like they're, aside from the fact that they're not casting any shadows.
Right, right.
Um, but
That's
yeah, I
fine.
just kind of placed a bunch of stuff to make it look cool.
Yeah, it does look very cool. Very dynamic. I couldn't have made a better version myself, Michael. So good job, man. It looks freaking
Thanks,
awesome,
dude.
dude.
So there we
That
go.
is so cool. That is so cool.
Um,
Let's try.
Da, 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 da. And also, before I forget, and I think you programmed this into the chat. Is it uh, exclamation point survey or is
Yes.
it feedback? Yeah.
Boom.
Bam. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'll probably mention this a couple times throughout the show as more people show up. Probably another time in the middle, and then at the very end, just to make sure that people are aware and have a chance to click that link. But basically, we've created a survey, super fast, should only take a couple minutes. That basically is just a Google form where you can go and click on different sort of topics or content that the Creative Tavern might do in the future. No promises on any of that stuff, but we kind of just want to, Chris and I are thinking about the future of the Creative Tavern and where we're going and what we're going to do. And we wanted to bring you guys, our audience, our tavern brawlers, into the conversation and let us know what you think, the
Mm.
things that you're interested in, the things you're not interested in, and kind of help shape the future of what we're doing here. So we'd really appreciate it if you could take a couple minutes and fill that out. And a huge thank you to everybody who's already given some feedback. It's very interesting so far to see the
Ah.
things that are hitting and and things that are maybe not so exciting.
Oh,
So thank
interesting,
you.
interesting. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't
share that with
heard
us.
any anything yet, but we'll talk about it later, after the show
Sure.
maybe. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But yes. So for the after we finished the game, Michael and I decided to take a little break and not just jump into like another freaking 6 months to 2 year project or anything like that. We decided to relax a little bit and just have a little fun. And Michael came up with this great idea that everyone's doing it nowadays where they take their favorite IP and then they could rank them based on how much they like a certain movie, a certain episode, or whatever it is. And so Michael suggested that we go ahead and rank all the MCU films, and we got all the way up to, I want to say, Doctor Strange from Sunday, and we are going to go ahead and continue with our list for today. And are you ready, Michael?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Hold on.
And I have notes. I've gone back and watched, I think, everything that we can get to tonight, probably.
Yeah, I calculate we'll probably get to 4 movies, I think.
Okay. Well, I watched 3 recently, so
Ah,
we can.
okay.
But that's fine. If we end up getting to the fourth one, I'm happy. I'm ready to talk about that one too.
Nice, nice.
I just haven't rewatched it recently, which I.
Yeah,
Um,
I haven't rewatched a lot of them. I mean, I don't have access to them, so I'm just going off at the top of my head. All right. And
no,
just really, oh, go ahead, Michael.
well, I was just gonna say, and I think that's fine. almost everything that I've like gone back to rewatch, be like, did I really like that as much as I thought I did, or you know, I think that movie's like this tier. Was it really? And then I go back and watch it, and it's like, yes, there's only been one so far that I
Uh-huh.
rewatched and was like, whoa, my rating for this is completely different than it was,
Oh, wow.
and we're going to talk about that one tonight.
Oh, interesting.
Um, so yeah, but other than that, I mean, that's just to say that even though you haven't gone back and rewatched them, your
Hmm.
gut instinct about, what you remember is probably spot on because it has been for
Hmm.
me on almost everything.
Sure, 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 sure. All right, so we are going to take a really very, very fast review of what we rated. And just to clarify, this is S, this is A, B, C, and so forth. So the first S tier, this is Michael, me and Michael right here, and wearing our respective colors, apparently. I'm always black and he's always white. Very much like, shoot, what's that? Lost, that monster. God, I can't remember. I remember like the two deities. Oh, have you seen Lost, Michael?
I watched like one or two episodes
Oh,
and
okay. All
totally
right.
lost interest.
So in the end of the series, essentially there's like two supernatural beings. One is white and one is black, and that's how I view
Interesting.
us. It's like we are of the two colors apparently. So anyways, S tier.
Yin and yang.
My S tier is Civil War and Iron Man, and for Michael, it's Iron Man. And for A tier, I have Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, by the way, anything that's to the left means it's better than all the
Mm-hmm.
rest going to the right. So these are the A tier. I have Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, and Iron Man 2, whereas Michael has Civil War, Doctor Strange, and Captain America. And for B is for me is Winter Soldier, First Avenger, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, and for Michael is Guardians of the Galaxy and Iron Man 2. Keep going. This is C. This is Avengers: Age of Ultron, Thor, and for Michael it's Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, the First Avengers, Thor, and Captain America: First Avenger. Oh, I said that incorrectly. The Avengers, the movie, and then the first Avenger. For this, I said the first Avengers. I fucked that up.
Oh yeah,
And
that
D,
I never realized how close that was. The first
yeah, yeah,
Avengers and the first Avenger.
yeah, yeah. And this is D. I have Thor: The Dark World in there. It's not a good movie. And for F, I have Iron Man 3, which is like the crappiest movie ever. And Michael has Thor: The Dark World and Iron Man 3. And okay, so that is our list. And tonight, the first movie that we will talk about is Guardians of Galaxy. This is super pixelated. Oh, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead
You
and
gotta
just
zoom
zoom
in.
into it. Yeah, I'll zoom into it.
It's so weird to me that making it bigger makes it pixelated, but zooming in doesn't.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. You want to start?
Sure, sure. I will start. For me, I really, really like this movie, because for me, Guardians Galaxy 1, I mean, not to say, the first one, because I like the first one, therefore I like the second one. That's not true because, the whole Iron Man situation. The first one was good. Second one was also good, but the third one was crap. So just because it goes up in number does not dictate that I will like it. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is actually much better, in my opinion, than Guardians of the Galaxy 1. And it deals a lot with, family again, where it touches on family. For me, it really, hits the spot, right? I myself didn't really grow up without a father, right? And I was the only child, and my mom essentially it's my mom that took care of me for the majority of my life, right? And my dad didn't really do much, right? And so he wasn't involved. And in a way, I kind of, understood the Star Lord's feelings a little bit. I mean, not that my dad's a god or whatever, but it's just like all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, this stranger just shows up in your life, and who is he? And what the hell? And then finding out that he's actually a dick and a bad person, and yeah, so that was really really interesting. And again, the characters, they all worked really really well together. and I love the whole turn of character with Yandu at the end, where spoiler alert, if I mean everything. Oh, just so that you guys know, everything that we're going to talk about is all we're going to spoil the crap out of these movies. But yeah, the because in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, you know, Yondu, the guy in blue, the Blue Angel, essentially of death, right? Essentially he was a dickhead in the first movie, but in the second movie we realized how much of a father he was to Quill. And you know, at that last moment in the movie, and here's the thing, I don't get emotional nor do I cry in movies, but the when he sacrificed himself and the line that he says, you know, he may have been your father, but he was never your daddy, you know, and just signified that, you know, Yandu was like Star-Lord's his father or daddy, you know, it's like his father figure growing up, even though he wasn't his real dad, it was actually, you know, he took care of him. So that really got to me. And then when he passed away with the fireworks in the background, I was just like, and sending him off, I was just like, oh God, why am I so touched? You know, it's like it's so weird. Like movies, you know, all of a sudden hits me and hits people in a certain place, and it just triggers like a certain kind of emotion. This one did it for me. This one was so good. It's funny, the relationship that they all have. They're like this dysfunctional family, you know, working together, and I think that's a lot of fun. And yeah, it's again, I believe it was who directed this again? It was
James Gunn.
yeah. Same person that directed the first one, and I think he may be my favorite director aside from Christopher Nolan. I don't know that many directors, but I know Christopher Nolan, I know James Gunn, and reason why I know them is because I like a lot of their work. What else can I say about this? I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a really good film. I love characters when they have to work with one another and when they grow, and you know, it's fun to me. And obviously I like the Mantis character. She's kind of like this naive little uh, sleeper person who has the power of putting people to sleep and manipulating emotions and whatnot. And yeah, the comedy between her and Drax, it cracks me up. It's very cute. Um, did it suffer from shitty villain syndrome? Kinda, sorta, but I think it was fine. It didn't really bother me that much. Uh, I'm trying to think of was it it wasn't the Nova Corps. No, it's not the Nova Corps. It's the gold. It's like the people all covered in gold, right? I forget what
The
their name.
Sovereign.
It's the Sovereign. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, they were pretty shitty. Not that not that interesting. Oh, right. The Sylvester Stallone was in this too. Yeah,
Mhm.
essentially we also kind of gotten a little bit of a backstory from Yondu too, and you know, why he was, you know, kicked out of the I don't know what it's called. I'm just gonna call it the Brotherhood,
The
the
Ravagers.
Ravengers. Thank you so much, the Ravengers. And we see it's because he was doing, you know, his bidding for um Quill's father, right? And then, you know, he made mistakes. He was not perfect, but at the end he turned the corner and became a good person, and uh decided not to turn Quill over to his father. So that was good. And essentially took care of him as a father. So yeah, for me, I already said it. I like this movie a lot. So it's good. Not S tier good, but A good, and it's going to be in front of all the other movies. So everything is going to get shifted over. And if
Yeah,
Captain
good
Blue Blue,
analysis, man.
oh yeah, thanks, dude. And if Captain Blue Blue was here, he'd probably put this in S tier because the the poster
So
is
many
really
colors.
colorful. So many
Yeah,
colors.
and it's got a lot of like nice, fun shapes and different like what do they call those where you have like shapes and lines that lead to like focal points? Do those have a name?
Oh, probably. I just
Like leader lines or something?
yeah. It's the perspective lines directing to the focal point.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I think he probably would. This is an S tier poster for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. All right, Michael, what
Um,
say you on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
so first, I want to respond to one thing. Like didn't it didn't even dawn on me that this movie would resonate with you so much because of your own personal history with your father. And I did,
Yeah.
yeah, and now because I knew that yeah, like you really liked the Guardians of the Galaxy, like the first one, and then I
Hmm.
was pretty sure you liked this one, uh, at least as much as that one. But now it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense why the Peter Quill character and his kind of like character arc would be like even in spite or even like aside from any other like random person watching this and being like, oh yeah, this is interesting and good and the quality is here. Like even aside from that, there's like an additional layer there of connection for you. So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's like the parts of the movie where he was really really buddy with his father. It's what I would imagine. Like it's like, oh yeah, that was probably if ever I got to hang out with my father again, that's probably going to be like that. But all of a sudden, something's about to happen, and it's probably gonna go to shit because of something that
Fair
he
enough.
did or something. It's just like, oh God, I could see it, I could see it. And so yeah, yeah, it was very good. It was very good. I liked it a lot.
So um yeah, that's great and good analysis and definitely like because I made a bunch of notes, so I'm going to talk about this for a minute here. And feel free to jump in if I say something that kind of like jogs your memory. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that thing, and I've got such and such to say about it.
Yeah.
Um, because for me, you remember how earlier in this stream I said that trust your gut, Chris. Like all the movies that I've gone back to watch have lined up exactly with what I thought, and there was one where that changed dramatically. It was this
Uh-huh.
one.
Oh, interesting.
I originally remembered this movie as being like basically the same as how I felt about original Guardians, which was
Mhm,
like
mhm.
B tier. It's like, oh yeah, sure, it's not the worst Marvel movie, but it didn't do anything for me. Whatever. It's fine. And I rewatched it and I was blown away.
Mm.
I think this is an S tier movie.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's a
What?
huge jump from what I originally remembered. And
Explain yourself.
I'd even put it above Iron Man.
Oh shit!
I know, right? Isn't that crazy?
That is
What the hell?
insane.
Um, yeah. And I
Wow.
was really like torn about this because I do not want to give out these S tier rankings willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, we've gotten all the way to here from 2008 to like when did this one come out? Like 2016 or
May
something?
5th. Yeah.
2017? It's
Yeah.
been almost
Yeah.
a decade, and of time that we've covered, and I only have one movie in S tier.
Wow. Wow.
Um, but I could not convince myself to put it any lower. And I even went back and watched the original Guardians, at least a little bit of it, because I was like, man, I like Guardians 2 this much. Like, I must be mistaken about Guardians 1. Like, I need to go back and rewatch that and maybe on this stream, like, bump that up again.
Yeah.
But I went back and rewatched the first like hour, and I was like, nope, that can stay exactly where it is. That's exactly as I remember it. It's fine. It's not great. It's got. I feel like Guardians. The first Guardians is like the first draft where they're like, I can kind of see what they're trying to do, but it's messy and has problems, and some like really amateur stuff that I just can't unsee.
Mhm.
I'll give you two examples there.
Mhm.
One on the like, and both of them come from the same sort of scene very early in the movie where Quill has got that like orb and he's trying to go sell it to the artifact collector or whatever, not the Benicio del Toro character, but like the middleman.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's when Rocket and Groot show up to try to like
Mhm.
capture Quill because he's wanted, and so they want the bounty for him. And Gamora shows up because
Going
she's
shows
trying to
up. Yep.
steal the orb. Um, there are multiple. moments in that scene where like somebody is trying to get away from the others, and they just run like in a straight line away from them, almost as if they read the script and knew that the people behind them need to shoot them in the back to knock them down.
Uh-huh.
And so like Quill does that. He's like running away and the camera's just like showing him running in a straight line,
Yeah.
and then they shoot him. It's like, okay. And then the same thing happens, like Gamora is like running away and she gets shot in the and it's like, come on, this isn't interesting or dynamic at all.
Yeah.
And then like really crazy amateurish things where there's like when that scene's done, they do a crossfade, which in if you don't know, it's basically where you, instead of doing a hard cut from one scene to another scene, where like one frame is that scene and the very next frame you've just immediately changed to another scene, you
Mhm.
kind of blend the two where one fades out, another one fades in, but they fade on top of each other, so then you never like fade to black or to white or anything like that.
Right.
They do that when they're fading from the first scene to the second one. The first scene is like a high level shot where there's like, some patrol ships that have come in and there's some pedestrians walking around the environment. That shot, like the footage stops and everything pauses. So like people who are walking go like, they just freeze. And there's like a ship that's moving that like it also freezes. So like it does that
Oh.
before the crossfade finishes. So
Oh,
if
weird.
you're watching it, you can actually see like, oh man, who didn't catch that in the editing room? Like that, what?
Wow.
So yeah, so I still feel like Guardians 1 should live
Mhm.
exactly where
Mhm.
it lives on my list, and
Sure. Sure.
um, didn't change my mind. But this one, holy crap, this just blew me away. It's so good. It's so funny. It's got so much heart. In fact, I might even go as far as to say this movie probably has the biggest heart out of all of the Marvel movies.
Mm, mm, mm,
Um,
mm.
even the ones we haven't even gotten to yet.
Mhm. Mhm.
This, it's just, these characters are just so charming. I love the story. There's so many cool character arcs in here. The one that you touched on, Chris, with Yondu is one of the
Mm.
best. Like
Yeah.
it's and I wish I knew the actor's name, but the guy who's playing Yondu, like man, he is so
M
good.
I think it's Mickey
Um,
Rourke.
I think Mickey Rourke is the bad guy in Iron Man 2.
Oh,
I,
shit.
I think I don't know. Let's do him justice and actually look him up right now.
Yeah.
Click this here. Or actually, if you want to look it up, Chris, I'll
Yeah,
keep
yeah. Yeah,
waxing
keep going.
poetic. So I got some notes here. I'm gonna start kind of chipping away through here, and then hopefully I can explain myself why I gave this movie such a high rating, so much praise. Okay, so the very first thing, obviously, if you're going to talk about a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, you've got to talk about the music. The music in the first Guardians is good, great even, but the music in this one's even better. It's so fantastic, and the way
Mhm.
they even integrate it into the story in some parts is amazing. Like the the song Brandy um, becomes this sort of like central theme for the the villain, like his entire philosophy on his existence and what he's trying to teach Quill uh, boils down to some of the lyrics in that song about this sailor who
Mm,
comes
mhm.
into town, and Brandy is this fine girl, she'd make a great wife someday, but I'm a sailor and my lady is the sea. So
Yeah.
that sailor, even though he's got this wonderful woman, leaves her to go have these uh, maritime adventures. Um, and that's what Quill's real father, Ego, played by Kurt Russell, that's how he explains to Quill why he left Quill's mom, because that's something that Quill has like never forgiven him for.
All right.
Um, and Ego's trying to also convince Quill that like you're the same. Like if you want to come do this adventure with me, like we can, change the galaxy together. Because we aren't that kind of person. We're the sailor in that story.
Yeah.
And so like having that kind of like the musical choices are fantastic, but then also it's like, oh wow, it's even integrated with the storytelling. Like that's really
Mhm.
cool. Um, so I loved that. And then the opening scene where like Groot plugs in the amplifier and then the
Oh,
music
so
starts
cute.
playing and
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
dancing. Like it's, oh
So
man, it's just so
adorable.
good. So I love that. Another thing, this movie is funny. This movie is quite possibly the funniest of all the MCU movies. And in a way that's like not unwelcome. there's some MCU movies where I feel like I get a little annoyed with how much they're joking around and just like, being hucksters. I'm like, come on, guys, like you don't you don't need to crack a joke every time you're having an emotional moment to like, oh man, this is getting too heavy. Like somebody step on a rake. Um, but this movie doesn't. I just don't have that problem with it. It hits these really amazing emotional moments, and simultaneously, it's just like a joke a minute. Like it's just so
Mhm.
funny. And I think
Mhm. Mhm.
part of the reason like that's successful, I really haven't analyzed it too much. I'm just pulling this out of my hat off the cuff here. I think part of the reason why that's so successful in this movie is because almost all of it is like character driven. You mentioned, Chris, the interaction between Drax and
Mantis.
what's that character's name? Mantis. But
Yeah.
Drax and Mantis are just fantastic. Like it is
Yeah.
so funny. There's a scene where they're like having this very delicate heart to heart, and Drax is telling her how disgusting and ugly she is.
Yeah.
But that's great. That's a good thing because um, beautiful people people love them and get into relationships with them, or want to be around them just because they're good looking, which makes it difficult to be a beautiful person. You don't know who to trust. You don't know
Mhm.
if somebody's after you just because you're good looking. So
Right.
it's great for her. And then later on, and let's see, did I write it on? Oh yeah, later on they're like looking at some gorgeous sunset or something, and Mantis says, "Ah, it's beautiful," and he
Yeah.
says, "Yes, it is, and so are you, on the inside."
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, oh man, that's so good. Um, so yeah, Drax, he's wonderful. Mantis is wonderful, and having those two together is just, man, they're so like it's funny like how much chemistry there is between them, and they're not like a romantic pairing. They're just like
Yeah.
buds.
Right, right, right.
Um, so that's great. Groot is adorable and really fun, and man, I didn't realize how much I would end up loving like Groot. Like Groot in the first movie is cool. Like I think he's
Mhm.
a really interesting character, and he's kind of like very much the counterpoint to Rocket, where Rocket is kind of this like small, diminutive, but like super genius. Like he's
Mhm.
really smart. Groot's kind of like a big dumb idiot.
Mhm.
You know, Rocket will have like this master plan all laid out, and then Groot hears one piece of it, thinks he's helping, goes to like steal a battery or something, and that's
Yeah.
supposed to be like we need to get that at the very end of the plan, and then he grabs it immediately,
Yep.
and it's like okay,
Yep.
well we're improvised.
Yep.
Um, so that was fine, but this idea to like, and if you haven't seen the first Guardians, spoilers, something happens to Groot where he ends up kind of needing to be reborn, and so in Guardians 2, he's a baby. He's like a little infant Groot, and then as the movies progress, we get teenager Groot in. Is it Infinity War? Is he a
I
teenager
think
Groot in
so.
Infinity War?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay,
think so. Yeah.
which is also great because he's like he's like a emo, very grumpy, angsty
Yeah.
teenager
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
having a hard time dealing with. Like, man, and I just love it. So anyway, Groot in this is just adorable. Um, Rocket, man,
I
Rocket
love
is
him.
so good in this one.
Yeah.
Um, Especially because they take him on this, really interesting emotional arc where all of his behavior in the movie is revealed by this in this
Oh,
moment where
yeah.
Yondu sees
Mm.
him,
Mhm.
sees
Mhm.
right through him in a way
Mhm.
that no other character has, and
Mm.
confronts him about it, and
Yeah.
explains to Rocket, I know why you stole those batteries. I know why you have this behavior. I know why you're so pissed off all the time and being such an a-hole to all these people because you're me.
Mm. Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, that was a very
and it
powerful
just
moment.
Yeah, and it just completely shatters Rocket. He's got like
Yeah.
no defenses against this. And it's a way better emotional moment, I think, than in the first Guardians, where Rocket is kind of like also having an emotional breakdown about being this like experimental, this being that has been experimented on and turned into a little monster. Um, that felt a little bit like kind of on the nose and formulaic to me, whereas this was subtle and interesting and driven by like real believable psychology that yes, this raccoon is so emotionally damaged. That's why he does these things. That's why he has these behaviors that seem like, man, you are a real little a-hole sometimes to especially these people that clearly love you.
Mm-hmm.
So his arc is incredible. I loved it, and the fact that they get that out of the little animated raccoon, it's great.
Yeah.
Um, Yondu, I kind of already mentioned him a little bit, but yeah, his entire story is fantastic, and especially when they bring in the Ravagers, and you get like multiple layers of his story arc, where it's not just about him helping Quill and helping Quill complete his arc by really understanding and kind of resolving that unrequited love with his father, where his father wasn't there, and he finally meets up with his father, and he ends up being a total a-hole who's trying to ruin the galaxy. And Yondu kind of helps to mend that wound by by basically revealing that, hey, you had a dad all along. It was me. I was there to take care of you, and I did all of this for you. And it's this amazing redemption arc. And coupled with that, earlier in the film, you see the Sylvester Stallone character, who's kind of like the head boss of the Ravager, Legion or whatever. It's like this collection of different Ravager gangs, and he's pissed at Yondu, and Yondu's like desperate to regain his good name, but can't because Sylvester Stallone's character's like, you broke the rule, man. We have like one of our most essential rules is we don't deal in kids, and you broke that rule. So you're out, man. You're a disgrace. And the really interesting way that arc completes is that yeah, Yondu was seduced and deceived by Ego, and he was handing him off kids. But until he found out what they were being used for, that Ego was actually, consuming these kids as part of his plan, torturing them and consuming them. When he found that out, that's when he refused to deliver Peter Quill to him and saved him instead. And when that becomes revealed and the Ravagers find out about it, that's when they understand that he actually did this really selfless thing and sacrificed himself for. And that's how the movie ends. It's like, that arc comes full circle. Yondu does the dad thing, saves his son, gets him out into space, sacrificing his own life for him. Man, it's just rock solid character arc. Like, it's just so good.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. And yeah, it's like when they have the funeral and then all the Ravagers show up and there's fireworks and stuff, that's pretty good. That feels good, right in there.
Yeah.
Man, and we haven't even gotten to the Gamora and Nebula, like the sister story.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. Like, and what's her name? Karen Gillan?
Gillian?
She's amazing. Like she's just, and I mean, Zoe Saldana, she's also incredible. But the sort of like the way Nebula breaks down at some point and reveals that like the reason she's been trying to kill her sister all this time is because she loves her so much. Like her entire conflict has been that all she ever wanted was a sister. And the entire time she's been pitted against her because she's so awesome. She's just so good at everything. And Nebula can never match that. And because they have this father figure in Thanos who's constantly who's just this like warlord that's completely focused on survival of the fittest and just cruelty and ruthlessness. In order to survive, Nebula has been completely tortured. Like, every time they would be pitted against each other, and because Gamora is just awesome, would always win, that would cost Nebula body parts. Like, she would lose, she'd have to lose an arm. She'd lose again, she lost an eye. And that's why she's now this sort of like semi-cyborg mechanical character, is because her sister's just so superior to her. And seeing the way that story arc comes to fruition, where even in this like moment, like super desperate moment where Nebula has come all the way across the galaxy, she's in this like big ass ship with all these guns, and Gamora is like running away in a cave, like totally unarmed and defenseless, and Gamora is just screaming and shooting all these guns, still can't kill her. Her
Mhm.
sister still beats her,
Mm.
and that is the straw that breaks the camel's back. And then the floodgates of emotions are opened, and she reveals her soul, and then that bond is healed.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's just so good. I was just like, man, this is just I I can't tell you how like shocked I was watching this to be like, man, how did I not remember any of this? Like this is so like textbook amazing quality writing. It's just so good. And then the actors are really good, and the special effects, the music, and everything. Like that, this is just like this movie is just phenomenal.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right, more notes.
Right.
So Drax, we already talked about. He's fantastic. I love Drax, especially his interactions with Mantis. Quill. Okay, so the thing that I thought was really interesting about Quill that I realized is he's like Luke Skywalker, but just much funnier. He's charming and heroic, and
Oh.
Chris Pratt is like perfect in the role.
Yeah.
Um, but he has a lot of similar aspects to Luke, and Luke is this poor farm kid who grows up and has dreams of like doing great things for the galaxy, but also has this dad who's like trying to destroy the galaxy. Which Quill finds
Mhm.
himself in the
Mhm.
same position. He's like, oh shit, which actually I will take 1 point away from the story is again the villain is trying to destroy the universe. Like
Sure.
that's just I can't believe it, man. Every movie, every why? Um, so that kind of sucks. But man, Chris Pratt is awesome, and he's just so. It's so easy to empathize with him and to feel and to relate to him, and he's just such a good dude. Um, he's a really great like role model and hero, and I'm so glad that he's part of the MCU.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, he's just fantastic. All right, I've lavished praise on this movie. Let's talk about some of the things that I think were not so great, but
Mm.
clearly not bad enough for me to bring it down from being in my
Yeah.
number one slot right now.
Right.
Um, all right, a bit of a plot hole here. So the Sovereign, they hire the Guardians at the beginning of the movie to protect these batteries from this interstellar beast that's going to come and try to eat them, right? And so that's what they do. But Rocket steals some of the batteries, and they also say some kind of like offensive things to them, I think, in the meeting that the Sovereign don't quite get until after they've left or something like that. But anyway, they basically betray them. The Guardians betray the Sovereign, piss them off,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then when the Guardians are leaving the planet, these Sovereigns send this army of drones after them. And when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. That doesn't make sense, especially because later, what ends up happening is the Sovereign also hires, I think, Yondu and his crew. They put a bounty on the Guardians, like, hey, those guys betrayed us. Like, go get them.
Mm.
If the Sovereign has this enormous drone army with interstellar capability, where they can be deployed to different parts of the galaxy, why do they need to hire bounty hunters or the Guardians? Like, they clearly have this enormous military, uh, you know, system, this machine available to them. Couldn't they just defend them, defend their batteries themselves against this
Yeah.
beast? Couldn't they just send their drones out to hunt down the Guardians themselves? And it's not like they have like a small little military police force. It's like a massive army of ships that get deployed in response to, the slight against them that the Guardians, when the Guardians take the batteries. So
Yeah.
that that doesn't quite make sense. Um, but it's fine because the movie's not really about that. That's just sort of like a thing that kind of happens and is sort of funny that gets the other stuff that's way more important and way more interesting, all the character driven stuff,
Mhm.
uh, that's sort of just happening in the background. So I forgive it, but it doesn't quite make sense when you really think about it.
Sure.
I already mentioned bad guy trying to kill the whole universe. I'm tired of that.
Mm-hmm.
Lost the point there. Oh yeah, there's also some scenes where like the bad guys don't shoot their guns, where there's like something is happening. There's like this escape or something, and I don't remember. The heroes are doing something and things are happening in slow motion, but and there's like hundreds of bad guys who are being like attacked, and none of them are shooting their guns for some reason. Like, huh? Or there's like a scene where there's a bunch of enemies that are kind of converging. So like at one point in the story, the Guardians have crashed on this planet, this like forest planet, and Quill and a couple of the others have left to go with Ego somewhere else to,
Right.
for Quill to like meet his dad. And Rocket and Nebula and I don't remember who else. Somebody else got left behind at the ship, and Rocket's trying to repair the ship. The bounty hunters find them, and they're like closing in on them in the forest. But of course, Rocket's too smart for that. He's got all these booby traps and shit. So he's like just completely handles these people no problem. There's a moment where he's like leapfrogging from head to head of these people and like slapping this device on him. So he like jumps on a guy, sticks the device on him, jumps to the next guy, sticks the device, and then so on and so forth. He jumps on like a dozen or like 15 people to the point where like the guys in the back, you could shoot him now. Like that moment where he like jumped on you and punched you and stuck the thing on you and you were like disoriented, like that was over 3 seconds ago, and he's like right there. Shoot him, do something.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things like that where I'm like, that wasn't quite, didn't stick the landing there. But I mean, that's a pretty minor, peeve. Oh yeah, so this one. So apparently Ego is a celestial, right? Which I'm kind of at this point I'm kind of confused about what a celestial even is in the Marvel universe, because when we get to Eternals, they have a very specific definition of what a celestial is there, and this character in Guardians is nothing like that. And there are even references in other Marvel movies to like celestials that are a little bit closer to that one. Like even in the original Guardians, there's the place called Nowhere is the like remnants of a celestial, and they're like harvesting the bone marrow and stuff, and that kind of lines up with the celestial from Eternals. But Ego is like completely breaks that mold. He's like this completely different type of being, but apparently he's a celestial. But the thing and that's not my complaint, because that might just be me not understanding what a celestial could be in the Marvel universe. Maybe there's all kinds of different shapes and varieties. Like, okay, I don't know. But what really bothers me is at least the way he tells the story, and the movie implies that is the truth and that he has not lied, is that when he first came into existence, he's just like this consciousness, this like brain floating in space. But he wanted to take on a corporeal form, and so he decided to become a human. And he wanted to be a full human, to have the full experience of what it was like to be a human. That way he could go and start, looking around the galaxy to meet other life forms and interact with them. And the way the story is told, it's like, well, it seems to be, and maybe I've got this wrong, but I'm pretty sure the way this was laid out, I got it right, but I don't know. When he decided to become a human, like he didn't even know that humans existed, because he meets all these other alien species and then eventually like finds humans. So one, like, how did you even know what a human was before you met them? Two, why would you pick humans out of everything? Like, maybe that one is forgivable because you could just say like, people like what they like, and he likes humans. Like, okay, fine. But it just seemed weird that like you would start as a human even before you've met them, and you use that form to go and like meet all the other life forms of the galaxy. Like, that's wacky. Okay. So I didn't really like that. I thought that was kind of dumb. And then I guess the final one that I have here is the monologue. Why does Ego tell his plan and tell Quill the truth about his mom? Only because the plot needs him to, not because it makes sense. Yeah, so there's a point where Ego explains basically that he betrayed Quill's mom. He's like trying to convince Quill, like, yeah, you should come rule the galaxy with me. Oh, by the way, I put that that tumor in your
Cancer.
mom,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I gave her cancer and killed her. And that just like that doesn't make any sense. Like he's already been so untruthful and deceitful, and if he really wants, and he's already made it clear, and even like right after that, it makes it even more abundantly clear. Like he's more than happy to just kill Quill or to enslave him and just suck the energy out of him and use that to do what he wants to do with the galaxy. So he had, I mean, Quill is like that meaningless to him. So why would he give him this valuable, clearly sensitive information that
Hmm.
could potentially turn him against him? Like, what? Why would you do that? And the only reason
Yeah.
he did that is because, like, well, we need the audience to know that that's what happened, and
Right.
a conflict. So, I wasn't too happy about that. But even all of those complaints couldn't prevent me from just enjoying the hell out of this movie, laughing at the jokes, um, getting all warm and fuzzy and
Yeah.
choked
Yeah.
up at the
Yeah.
emotional parts, um, and just like all of the really important pieces of the puzzle are phenomenal.
Hmm.
There
Hmm.
are something like some of the lesser important things. There are, some chinks in the armor there, but the really important stuff is really good.
Hmm.
The character arcs, the character interactions, the story is really easy to follow. It's not super confusing. Um, the music and the cinematography and all of the like artistry of making the movie is really good, and it's
Yeah.
much better than the first movie. So yeah, Guardians 2 blew me away on a reviewing, and it's S tier, baby.
Nice. That what an awesome review and analyzing of the movie, dude. Yeah, I totally forgot about Yandu and the dialogue between Yandu and Rocket, because that part was very, very emotional to me as well. I'm a little surprised I forgot. But yeah, that part where he says, "I know you're like this because I'm just like you," or something like, or "You're just like me," or something like that. And I was just like, wow, and it's those kinds of moments I think that makes a movie really, really enjoyable. Yeah, and also, yeah, I totally forgot the baby. All the baby group parts are like so adorable. Like when what is it, Yandu and Rocket, or someone and Rocket, I believe it
Yep.
was they were in a cell together, and then they're like,
Hmm.
all right, I need you to grab my little this
I prototype Finn.
yeah, prototype Finn thing, and then a baby Groot is like bringing a toe, a human toe back. He's like, yeah, we're not gonna talk about this, yeah, that's not
Yeah,
what we asked you to bring.
Rocket. Well, like when he brings the toe back, Rocket says to Yondu, "It's like, please tell me that you have a refrigerator with a bunch of severed toes somewhere on the ship." And Yondu's like,
Uh,
so
it's
he
so,
clearly must have found it off of somebody.
yeah, God, it's so funny. And also the part where Rocket's like, all right, I need you to press this button, okay? Do not press the other one. Press this one, right? And then Baby Groot is just like, which one are you gonna press? This one. No, not that one. It's God, it's so adorable.
Oh God, we're all
Uh,
gonna die.
yeah, yeah, it's so well made, and the dialogue is so good, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I'm so happy to hear that you like it too. So that's freaking awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, I loved it.
yeah, very, very cool. And once again, like this movie is awesome for me because it could have gone sideways like really quickly because there's so many characters. And again, you brought it up that the whole relationship between Gamora and what's her name, Gamora and
Nebula.
Nebula. Yeah, it's the whole relationship between those two sisters. I totally forgot about that too. Holy cow, yeah, cuz that was also very emotional. Cuz so I'm thinking like this is so good is because, it's such a strong human or alien, bonded relationship. Even though Sylvester Stallone wasn't in that movie all too much, but I can
Mm.
see the strength of the relationship between Yondu and uh, Sylvester Stallone's character, right? And I remember like there was just like everyone saluting him, going like, doing like this, the Ravengers salute. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm like all tearing up and shit because they all have like respect for him because of what he did. So yeah, totally. I really really love this movie. So, and I'm shocked that this your
I'm
favorite
just as
movie so
shocked.
far. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. All right. Do you want to move to the next movie?
Yes, sure.
All right. Next
What
movie
is
is
next?
uh oh, wait. We gotta talk about critics and audience
Oh,
for
yes, you're right.
yes. All right.
Got so caught up with how enamored
Again,
we are with.
awesome review, dude. You're
Thanks.
analyzing the crap out of. Oh, by the way, so the actor who played Yondu,
Oh,
his name
yes,
is Michael Rooker, and
Michael Rooker.
I got it
That's very,
confused
yeah,
with Mickey Rook. So
yep.
yeah, Michael
I can see
Rooker
how that happened.
versus
Your
Mickey
brain was like,
Rourke.
there's an M and an I and a C in the first
Yeah,
name, and there's like a
yeah.
R and an O and a K
RO,
in the
yeah,
last name. It's probably Mickey Rourke.
yeah. Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker. Well, man, he killed it. Like he was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Such a very, really good actor. He was also in Lost, or not Lost, the Walking Dead for
Hmm,
the first season. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Really, really good. Okay, so oh man, I gotta get into the mind of critics. I have to pretend I'm stupid and make bad choices. So I'm
You got to
going
think
to
like, how much money was Disney willing to pay you to review this? Was it enough
yeah,
for you to say A tier, S
yeah,
tier, B
yeah.
tier?
So I'm gonna say AA.
Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna say AA.
I don't know if we have anybody in the chat. This is kind of a Michael and Chris stream tonight.
Yeah.
If there's anybody in the chat and you want to take a guess, speak now or forever hold your peace. Let us know where you think the critics would rank Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and where the audience would rank it. This is based off of Rotten Tomatoes scores. um, but okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reveal the critics score. The Rotten Tomatoes critics rank Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in A tier.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
And now things can get a little spicy.
Oh God. Oh, you gotta
The
be
Rotten
kidding me.
Tomatoes fans tier
Oh
ranking
no.
for
Oh
Guardians of the
no.
Galaxy Volume 2 is B.
Ah, I had a feeling that you were gonna say that. Wow. Okay.
It's oh yeah, and you want
Okay.
to take a guess as to where it goes in?
Sure.
I guess in both these. Start with the fans there in B tier.
So, critics. Okay. All right. So that's where I place it.
All right, so for critics, it's actually let's see here. No, you got it. You nailed it.
Yeah. All right.
And for the audience, so yeah, you really channeled the critics perfectly. The audience was the only surprise here.
Yeah.
Where did you place it there? Okay, so actually, it's ahead of Doctor Strange.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Okay.
But you were close.
Okay. B, huh? What?
Yep.
Hmm. I can't believe I actually agree with the critics. That almost never happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause look at my A tier compared to the critics.
Let's see here.
That's like the only one
Uh,
that has the
yeah.
same.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. These are the only two that is that shares with the critics. Dumb critics. Silly
Yep.
critics. All right.
All right. Next,
Spider-Man.
after
Spider-Man.
oh yeah, Homecoming. Okay, so I haven't rewatched this, but I have seen this movie, and we can
Hmm.
definitely uh rank this, but I'm not going to have nearly as much to say about this one. Should I go first? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, I think Spider-Man: Homecoming is really awesome. I liked it a lot. I think Michael Keaton as the Vulture was great. Man, and I mean, I'm just a huge like Zendaya nerd. Like, I think everything I've seen her in, she's just great, and she just seems like such a just a wonderful person. I mean, and obviously I don't know her in person, so she may be like a total nightmare. I don't know, but I really don't get that impression. She seems like such a sweetheart. Um, I think she's like an awesome Mary Jane, the best Mary Jane, and the best like love interest I think of all the Spider-Man movies. So she's fantastic, and she's really funny too. That there's at least one line in there. I don't remember exactly what it was, but like uh, Peter says something nice to her. He's like, trying to be a little flirty, and she's like, "Are you saying that just because I'm attractive, or I'm an attractive girl, or something? Are you trying to?" And he's like fumbling all over himself. He doesn't, and she's like, "I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time," or something like that. I don't know what. Like, the chemistry between them is fantastic. Which I think they're actually a real life
They're a
couple,
couple,
right? Like, they're dating now. So yeah.
Yep.
So there you go. That's real chemistry, folks.
Yeah.
The presence of Iron Man. I know you had mentioned this on a previous stream, Chris, that a lot of people don't like that they don't like having Iron Man in these movies, but I think it's great. Like, I think it's fine. I think he's a really cool mentor character, especially because we don't have, the Uncle Ben character.
Thank God.
Which, yeah, I mean, I think Uncle Ben's fine, and I like in the Tobey Maguire's, like, that original Uncle Ben was great, but limited, especially because there's just so much more like raw and real and like applicable story runway when the mentor is actually also a superhero. Uncle Ben can only provide so much mentorship for Peter Parker when he's Spider-Man, whereas Tony Stark and Iron Man, like, they really go some places with those two characters through several of the movies in MCU. So I think that's really cool. And yeah, I really don't mind Iron Man at all, and I don't think Iron Man steals the show. Like, I don't think it's like oh man, he's stealing Spider-Man's thunder here. I don't think that was the case at all. I really like the different like classmates that come into the story. Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. He's just so perfect for the role.
Yeah,
I don't think he's perfect for everything that he's in. I watched a little bit of the Uncharted movie.
Oh yeah.
No, he's not Nathan Drake. And Mark Wahlberg is definitely not Sully.
Yeah.
Those were, and I mean, they're fine. Like, I've seen Mark Wahlberg in some things that I love him in, and obviously I think Tom Holland is phenomenal in this, but they were miscast in that movie, and it's not a great movie. It's not horrible, but it's not great. But anyway, so yeah, Spider-Man: Homecoming. I think it's awesome. I think it's a ton of fun. It's a really good another reboot of Spider-Man, but this one's really fantastic. Yeah, I think it's a blast. Everything, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but everything I can remember about it, I think it was really good. So tier ranking, where would I put this? Okay, so that's my list there. It's definitely A tier. And I would probably put this where would I put this? Probably in front of Winter Soldier, but after Doctor Strange. Final answer.
Final answer. Nice.
All right, Chris, you're up.
So
what did you think? Spider-Man: Homecoming.
before I give my 2 cents, I'm gonna speak for Captain Blue Blue. He would put
Oh
this in
yeah.
the F tier because this is one of the most shittiest posters I have ever
Yeah, that's
seen
pretty bad.
Marvel made. It's so bad. Like they just did a cutout and then just placed
Hmm.
it together. I mean, if you look at this, you know,
Yeah, that looks so much
versus
better.
this versus this, who did this? Like the
Yeah.
rim lighting here is like totally different than everyone else's rim lighting,
Hmm.
and there's like no rim lighting here. It's like,
Hmm.
what is happening? Like,
And
did
that
they just ran out of time?
super off the shelf lens flare on actual Spider-Man's shoulder, like right underneath his
Yeah,
chin.
yeah, 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 yeah.
This really looks
Uh,
like it was, a high school kid's Photoshop final project.
yeah, it really is. I mean, not to put myself out there or think too highly of myself, but I think I could have made a better poster had Marvel hired me to do this. Because yeah, I totally agree. It feels like a high school kid, with Photoshop 101 and be like, all right, put it together, and then bam, this is what we get. Very very disappointing. To see that, and look at this part right here. Albeit it's very low res right now, but they just
Mhm,
like they just kind of put a flame filter on it, and it does not look good at all. I
mhm.
mean, I can't unsee this part because it's just jumping out at me. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like
Yeah,
it.
good points, man. That's a pretty bad. Yeah, that's pretty awful.
Yeah, and there's like this little blur right here. It's like,
Yeah.
uh, oh gosh, what is going on? Anyways, all right. So F for the poster. I'm channeling Captain Blue Blue. So here, I think Spider-Man: Homecoming is also A. I agree with you, but oh gosh, oh man, um, really? Is it really below everything else? Uh, Iron Man 2. Man, when people see my list, they're gonna beat me up. They're gonna be like, "What? Iron Man 2? Spider-Man's better than
How
Iron
dare you?
it's not as good as Iron Man 2. What's going on with you?" Oh man. You know what? I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. Because because it's Spider-Man and because I get Spider-Man and Tony Stark and Iron Man in there, I think that's good. And Michael Keaton, right? And Zendaya. So it's like awesome. I love it. So this movie, I like this movie. Obviously, I put it in A. I would watch it. This movie does not suffer from the shitty ass villain syndrome, because we see and understand the motivation behind Michael Keaton's Vulture character. One of the reasons why he is, the way he is because he's essentially trying to, in my mind, take care of his family, make ends meet. And all of a sudden, when he was, working, doing his thing, collecting all the alien artifacts, he was shut out from it because Tony Stark's cleanup crew more or less took it over, right? And then so he's just moonlighting on the side, taking over the alien tech and creating some stuff with it, making weapons. It's not good, right? But we see his origin story as well as we see a little bit of a humanity in him, especially at the end credit scene. I would like to think he didn't tell Scorpion, the guy who is also in Breaking Bad or not Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. I don't remember his name. He's like a Mexican actor, really good looking guy. But he plays Scorpion, and Scorpion is asking Michael Keaton's character. He's like, who's Spider Man? I'm gonna kill him. But Michael Keaton doesn't give that up, and I would want to think that he's because he's not all out evil. He's just trying to get his shit done, for his family and take care of his family. And I think it's such a fun fun little reveal that Peter Parker's love interest is daughter of the main villain, right? And when he opens that door, it's like, what the frack? He's like, whoa, what a tense moment it was when they were talking inside the car. It's like, I'm gonna kill you if you get in my way again, or something like. I haven't seen this movie in a very long time, so but I just remember, yeah, I was like, thank finally a villain that I can actually kind of understand. He doesn't die. He doesn't go away. So there is, maybe we get to see him again in the future. Yeah, and I love the interaction with, Ned, with Zendaya, with Aunt May as well. Aunt May is freaking awesome. I love the end scene where Peter Parker puts on his suit, and then he turns around and May's like, "What the fu-" and then it cuts off to black, right? It's so well done. Uh, what else? What else? Yeah, for me, I was not in the camp of like, oh, Iron Man's taking over, Spider-Man. Spider-Man should do his thing. I thought Iron Man did a great job as a supporting character, and even though to me, one of the reasons why people don't like it is because they thought that Spider-Man's suit was way too powerful. It's too Stark Tech-ish. Spider-Man should just be its own thing. It's like Tobey Maguire suit. Why is it so teched up? I thought it was really really refreshing. I thought it was awesome to have a really high tech suit. Very very different. Because I mean, if you want to think about it, we've already gotten some normal superhero or Spider-Man suits from, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. But this Spider-Man suit is totally different, which I absolutely love, 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 love. And I also love the kind of like the female Jarvis. I forgot what's the name of the computer system. Uh,
Friday?
Friday? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you're right. I think you're right. Friday, and it's she's just chatting with him, and he's like, okay, now Peter, tell her what you really think. And it's just like, oh, that's pretty awesome. So I like this movie. It's a good movie, and yeah, it's been a very very long time since I've seen it, and I and it's interesting. He also kind of goes, and correct me if I'm wrong. He kind of also goes in a little bit of a journey where he has to not depend on the suit. It's just him. Kind of like you strip the hammer away from Thor. It's the same thing. Like you strip the suit from Spider-Man. It's the Spider-Man. It's Peter Parker that makes the Spider-Man, and it's not the suit that makes Spider-Man. So I thought that was cool that he had to. Tony was teaching him a lesson that he has to be himself, be better than Tony. And I thought that was a really good father, son kind of moment. He's trying to teach him, and yeah, because he doesn't want Peter to make the type of stupid mistakes that he made. And so yeah, I saw growth in Tony, and also saw growth in Peter as well. Yeah, this was a really good movie. I wish I watched it a little bit more because I don't have, Disney Plus access. Had If I had access, I would definitely watch the whole trilogy again.
Well, the Spider-Man movies are not available on Disney Plus because they're owned by Sony. So you can
Oh,
only get them. In fact, I
well,
don't even know if they're streaming anywhere. I think you can only because Sony doesn't
buy it.
have a streaming platform. So I think you have to just buy these
Mm,
or rent them. You could,
right.
rent them on Amazon or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah,
and I
no,
haven't seen the third one. I've only seen the first two of these.
same with you. I haven't seen the No Way Home yet. No Far From Home? No Way Home. No Way Home. Yeah, I haven't seen No
No
Way
Way
Home
Home
yet.
is the third one. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, that's good. That's good.
Good
Okay.
review, man.
So
And
yeah, no,
you remembered
thanks.
a lot more about it than I did. So
It's
good,
it's
good
been
bringing
a
up some of those points.
yeah, it's been a long time. And all right. So
I
critics and
don't have
audience.
I don't have critics or audience score for this. I didn't do the Spider-Man movies because they are the like the
Oh,
Sony ones.
right.
Um, I guess I could look it up and give me a second. We'll just do
Okay.
it on the fly.
Okay.
Um, whoa, that looks cool. Spider-Man, uh, Homecoming, Ba-ba-ba. Oh wow. Okay. Let's see if I can. I need to do a little bit of math here, or a little thinking. So yeah, let's check. Yeah. Okay. So hang on one second. Let me check one more thing, and then I should be able to tell you where that should go.
I already know.
You already know.
I already know. I think.
Wait a
I
minute.
think.
What the hell? Is it not? What the fuck? Stupid Rotten Tomatoes. I'm typing in The Avengers and it's like, I have no idea what movie that is.
Huh.
What? Okay, I got it. All right, so that's that. That's that. Okay. Wow, interesting. Okay, so we'll do the critics score first. It looks like it should be. Well, fuck, maybe I need to check a couple more things. Hang on a second.
No, yeah. Take your time. Take your time.
While I'm doing that, just to fill some time, what did you think about the animated Spider-Man movie? I forgot what it's called. Spider-Verse? Did you see that?
No, no, never. I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's one of the best Spider-Man movies ever.
Yes, I would highly, highly recommend checking it out. It's very,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, apparently the animation is really cool, too. Its story is really good. That's what I've heard. But yeah, I still haven't seen it yet. Do you know if that's on Disney Plus as well or no?
That's also Sony.
Oh shit. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I know.
God.
Yeah, anything that's like headlining Spider-Man, with the
Yeah.
exception of like some of the cartoons, like the old school
Mhm.
cartoons, like
Mhm.
Saturday
Mhm.
morning cartoons.
Mhm.
Some of those are available on Disney, but otherwise, yeah, Sony's got all that stuff locked up pretty freaking tight.
Mm.
Um, okay, I think I got it for Spider-Man. For the critics. And what's your guess, Chris? S tier for both?
S tier bar both.
Wow. Okay. So for the critics, that is correct. It is S tier.
Yeah. Nice.
And it is exactly where you've put it, I think. Let's see, Avengers. Nope, actually, it is ahead of the Avengers.
What? I believe that. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And you know what? Did I make a mistake? Because I think actually Guardians is supposed to be ahead of Avengers too.
Hmm.
Yeah, I must have made an error.
No problem.
Well, I had it correct here on my list, but I must not have noticed, must not have said anything. So sorry about that. Okay,
No
so
worries.
now let's see where the audience puts it. This
Come
is
on.
gonna be interesting, I'm sure.
They're gonna put it on S. Come
Gonna be
on.
spicy.
It's Spider-Man. Everyone loves Spider-Man.
Let's see here. I gotta check something. Because it's not where I would have expected. And it's not where you would have expected either.
Oh God, are you serious?
Yeah.
It can't be lower than A.
There we go. So that's getting close.
It can't be. It can't be getting lower than A. It has to be A.
Okay, I've just about narrowed it in. I need to check, I think, one more thing and then I'll know.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yep, okay, got it. All right, it goes. So the audience Rotten Tomatoes score for Spider-Man No Way Home, or Homecoming,
Yeah.
is B tier.
What?
Yep,
B?
I know. B. Apparently, they were really pissed off about Iron Man being in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
Can you guess where it goes in here?
wow. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's above Guardians.
Let me check that. Hang on a second.
What?
Guardians of the
Dang.
Galaxy. Um, actually, it's tied with
Hmm.
Guardians, so yeah, that's fine. You can put it up. Well,
Okay.
let's see, which one has more reviews?
Nah.
100,000 versus 100,000. So yeah, they're tied. So it doesn't
Okay.
matter
All
which
right.
position.
All right. Wow.
But
B,
yeah,
huh?
pretty surprising, huh?
Wow. Yeah, you would think people love Iron Man to love to see Iron Man in there
Yeah,
too.
I'm like, oh my God, we love
Yeah,
Spider-Man, we love Iron
we
Man.
love
They're
Iron.
both in the
Yeah.
same movie. This is fantastic. Nope. People,
Uh,
it's hard to please people, apparently.
God, that movie poster is so bad. It's like god awful.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm
All
still a little
right.
bit shocked. B, huh? Wow. And it's a Spider-Man film too. People love
Yeah,
Spider-Man. What is going on?
I don't know. Let me scroll down here and see. Okay, the 3-star review here from the audience. It should be noted that out of everything that I loved as a child, Spider-Man was one of those. Of course, I'd have to say that it trailed behind Terminator. Okay, it didn't actually say what it was. This one says 3 stars. Holy spandex, we're back with another Spider-Man movie. The Raimi movies came to a grinding halt after a well-rounded start. Mark Webb movies, blah blah. Okay, neither of those got to the point fast enough, so I don't know
Hmm.
why audience doesn't like it, but
Weird.
we were
Weird.
underwhelmed.
Yeah. Hmm. All right. Next movie is Thor Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. Um, who wants to go first? Do you want to go, Chris? Should I go?
Um, yeah, you're more than welcome to go. I'm still trying to remember what happened in this film.
Oh, then I'll
Uh,
definitely go. That way I
yeah.
could jog your memory.
Oh yes,
Because I
thank you.
I watched recently. I made some
Oh,
notes, and you
perfect,
can
perfect,
you can build off of what I have to say.
perfect, perfect.
So I don't. Well, what would be more suspenseful for me to just tell you what the rating is now, or should I talk about it and then rate it? I'm gonna tell you what the rating is,
Okay,
and then I'm gonna explain.
all right.
And I think this is from here until we're done with this thing. I think this is when things are gonna get real spicy, both
Oh
from
shit.
me
Uh-huh.
and from the things that you're seeing in the Rotten Tomatoes scores. Things are gonna get real interesting.
Oh wow.
Um, Thor Ragnarok is S tier for me.
Wow, nice.
I I'd put it that's your
Oh, that's
column,
me.
Chris. But I'm happy if like you also like it. I'm gonna put it in S tier. Like I'd be happy with that.
Wait.
Um,
Don't tell me.
you want
Don't
to
tell
guess?
me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
It's a good poster too. I think
Yeah,
Captain Blue would approve of that poster for sure.
yeah, yeah, totally. For you, I want to say it goes above Guardians Galaxy 2. Final answer.
Yep,
Yeah!
nailed it.
Yay! Yay!
Good
All right.
job. So yeah, Thor Ragnarok. Man, this movie blew me away then, and I rewatched it and was like, "Yep, this is still really awesome." It's not perfect. I do have some complaints, and I'll get to a couple of those.
Mhm.
Um, but this movie deserves the top rating for me so far in the S tier position because not only like by itself is it actually a really awesome movie, and I think both like where we are in the MCU at this point in the chronology, I think this for me this is like we're in peak MCU territory. I think this is where Marvel really figured out how to make these movies, and they were like on their absolute A game for like at this point. And finally, somebody figured out Thor. Somebody finally saved Thor because we had gotten the original Thor movie, which was really underwhelming, and he was a jerk and super detestable, unlikable character. It's
Mm-hmm.
ranked really poorly for me. I think I ranked original Thor C or D tier, C
Mm-hmm.
tier, because I don't think I have anything in D tier. Followed up by Thor: Dark World, which was even worse.
Boo.
One of the worst Marvel movies, and not just coming from me and you, like even the
Mm-hmm.
audience and critics didn't really like either, like neither of them liked that Thor either. And even when Thor appears in like the Avengers movies, like he's not, you know, he's not nearly as likable or charming or have as much to do as some of the others, like that, especially like Cap and Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Thor is really like supposed to be one of these core pillars of the Avengers, and up to this point, he has really sucked.
Yeah.
But this movie figures it out and just like totally nails it, and he is awesome and super likable and charming and just a wonderful hero. Um, and it took like I didn't quite like when I originally saw this, I didn't really know why. But in rewatching it, um, my assumption, or like my like if I was going to give it an analysis and tell you like, well, why was this one successful but the other ones weren't? Um, and I would sum it up as basically, do I have that note here? Yeah, okay. It's basically Thor Ragnarok is a masterclass in humbling your heroes without humiliating them.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is taking these heroes and like putting them into situations where they are forced to acknowledge their limitations. When they think high and mighty of themselves, they trip and fall on their face. Um, they they are forced to come down and be grounded and become humbled and modest, uh, but only just enough to prevent them from getting a really big head and becoming like so full of themselves. So like a couple of examples to drive the point home. Um, at the end of the movie, there's this moment where Bruce Banner, who becomes the Incredible Hulk, he's like that he and Valkyrie are flying in the ship, and she's like, "Man, this giant wolf won't die," because they're trying to like save all the people from Asgard who are trying to escape, and there's like these two
Mm-hmm.
armies of zombies encroaching on both sides, and on one side there's Fenris is the name of this like giant black wolf that Hela, the villain, like that's her pet wolf, and so he's like charging down to come and like kill all these people, and Valkyrie's been shooting it with this like giant machine gun, and it's just not dying. And so Bruce is like, "I got this." You know how earlier
Yeah.
let's see what did he say here? Oh yeah, he said earlier you asked me who I am. Well, it's gonna be all right. I'm gonna show you who I am. And he's like, he really talks himself up, and then he jumps, and then the camera cuts to like the Fenris, the wolf, is like charging towards the camera, and then this body just goes splat right
Ooh.
onto the bridge, and the wolf kind of
Yeah.
stops and like sniffs, and it's Banner's, he's basically dead, like at least.
Yeah.
Um, and then of course like a moment later he is the Incredible Hulk, and he grabs the wolf
Yeah.
by the tail and starts fighting or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, there's oh yeah, like Thor throughout this entire movie. I've got some really cool things to say about him and like why he's just so awesome in this now. But like same sort of thing. Like there are many things that happen to him throughout the movie where like he loses his hammer again, but this time like really loses his hammer because there's a
Mm-hmm.
moment when Hela shows up and Thor's like, all right, big bad evil witch sisters here. Like let's put her in her place. Throws the hammer at her. She grabs it, smashes it in midair, and the thing just crumples to pieces. And Thor's like, "Oh, wow, okay." And so now
What?
his hammer's gone,
Yeah.
completely destroyed. She's obviously like this crazy, super powerful being. So that happens. He gets his ass kicked. He becomes a slave and a gladiator. He gets like
Yeah.
marooned on this planet, completely helpless. Like multiple times he's trying to like use his charm, use his his strength. Can't get any of it done. Valkyrie puts this little like device on his neck that can completely like paralyze him, so he can't do anything. Like he's just so helpless. Even at the end of the movie when he's like fighting in the climactic scene, he loses one of his eyes. Like he is really getting his ass kicked in this movie. The same sort of thing with like Valkyrie. She's a drunk throughout the movie. She's got this alcohol problem. She's trying to drown away her problems, but they don't go away. They find a way to come back and kind of haunt her. Yeah, like they're like big climactic moment where they're trying to like escape from Sakaar and they steal this ship. And they're like, yeah, awesome, we got this really fancy ship. Wait a minute, there are no guns on this ship. What the fuck? And then Valkyrie's like, oh yeah, that's a pleasure ship. He uses it for orgies and stuff. And then Thor's like, or Banner's like, did she say orgies and stuff? And Thor says, don't touch anything. So even in this moment where they're like, trying to escape, like, they're in the sex ship. There are all these moments like this where the heroes are humbled. They can't do the really like badass thing, but they're still allowed to be heroic. They still get to do heroic things because even in like the case of that ship, then Thor and Valkyrie go out of the ship and they start jumping around and blowing up other ships and things. When Bruce falls onto the bridge and makes a complete ass of himself, he still gets to become the Hulk afterwards and fight and save everybody and fight the wolf.
Yeah.
So you're basically like getting your cake and eating it too. You have all these moments where you're completely humbling the heroes but not humiliating them, and that's really important because that's, I think, one of the like big mistakes in The Last Jedi is the Luke Skywalker character is humbled to humiliation in that story, which is the reason why so many people had such a sour taste in their mouth for like what happened to Luke as a character.
Yeah, I did not like that.
Me too, man. And this movie doesn't do that. This movie pushes just far enough to be like, we don't want to humiliate our characters. We just want them to come down to earth enough that they are relatable and that they don't, because they're superheroes. You can't let them get so full of themselves that they become unrelatable to the audience. And that's something that's so special about the way Thor is introduced in this movie is so good compared to the other ones. And the other ones, he's kind of like at least in the first one, he's kind of this spoiled royalty brat. He's this prince with all this like luxury, and he, ropes his buddies into going on this like mission where he goes to cause trouble at this other in this other realm that's not bothering anybody, that has a past of bothering people and causing destruction, but right now they're kind of dormant and they're just not, and he like provokes a fight and he goes and picks a fight with them. And he just seems like the spoiled brat. In Ragnarok, we open with him trapped. He's in a cage, he's locked up, and he's basically at the mercy of this like fire god, and he's there because he's trying to prevent that fire god from taking over Asgard and causing all this wanton destruction. But then he escapes and he gets into this like really cool battle, and he's fighting off the hordes of the demons of hell, basically, doing all this dirty work. And then when he succeeds and flies back to Asgard, and there's this like really funny moment where there's like this dragon chasing him through the Bifrost, and its head gets severed, and there's anyway. And when he gets back to Asgard, you see that there's like this high society, and Odin is lounging in a chair and eating grapes, and they're doing this little play that's telling the story of Loki, and how his this very glamorous retelling of the story of Thor and Loki, where Loki's kind of like the good guy, and that's because that's not actually Odin, that's Loki in disguise, and all of that's funny and interesting. There's character development there, but at a meta level, what's happening is like you see Thor coming back. He's been in the shit defending Asgard, fighting this fire demon. He was in prison. He's gotten dirty, and it dawned on me that's like, man, Thor he's a blue collar superhero. He's like out there doing the dirty work, so that way the society that he belongs to can have nice things, can exist in the way that it is. that makes him so likable. And he's not all full of himself about it. He's doing what's right, what needs to be done, and that's his approach and that's his behavior. And that's completely different than the way that he is in the earlier movies. So it's like, man, solid, like just rock star fix for Thor. Like he's just so good in this now. So I loved that, and that just keeps going throughout the whole movie. It's just more and more of that, more of him being beaten down, but constantly like not giving up and continuing to fight the good fight, and being charming and being friendly. And speaking of friendly, like one of the things that I just love in this movie is the relationship between Hulk and Thor. And Hulk's just so good. He is so funny and charming. There's like the one quick complaint though before I get into some of the good stuff about Thor. If you watch this movie and you have obviously, like, I mean, even looking at the poster, Hulk's on the poster. If you watch this movie without having seen the trailer, without having seen the poster, knowing nothing about this movie or which characters are in it, Hulk is kept a secret until he is revealed. Like when Thor ends up marooned on Sakaar and he's going to fight the champion. We keep hearing about this champion and that he's like the greatest, gladiator ever, and he's killed everybody he's ever fought, and so Thor's doomed. And then finally the gates open and the champion comes out, and it's Hulk. And Thor he's like really stressed about it at first, and then he's like, "Oh no, yeah, hey, I know that guy." Like, he gets really excited and he's like cheering. He's so happy. He's like, he's a friend from work. That's so cool. Like, it was such a great moment, but it's just, for almost everybody who watched this movie, that moment didn't happen because in the trailer they revealed, like, that was like the very first teaser trailer for Thor Ragnarok was like, oh hey, Hulk's in the movie, and then he's on the poster. And so it's this really weird thing where in the movie it's clearly like very deliberately set up to be this big reveal, this big surprise for the audience, especially because coming out of the previous couple of movies, in Age of Ultron, Hulk ends up trapped in like a Quinjet ship that gets that kind of disappears, it goes off the grid, and then everybody's like, for the next couple of movies, are like, where the hell's Bruce Banner? Like, nobody knows where he is. So this was like a multi-movie setup that finally gets paid off, but they completely ruined it in the marketing. So that kind of sucked. But Hulk and Thor in this movie are just awesome, especially because Hulk is like this really emotionally complex character who has the vocabulary of like a 3-year-old. So he's like, making fun of Thor and calling him like a baby, and kind of trying to puff up his chest when like Thor's trying to get him to agree to like work together, like we're like the fire, we're gonna like get in there and we're gonna make this thing happen. And Hulk's like, Hulk like raging fire, Thor like smoldering fire, little fire. And their interactions are just so good. And he's just so entertaining. And there's even like this really emotional part where like Thor is getting just pissed and he's like, you're being a bad friend right now, and that really upsets Hulk, and he's like, you bad friend, and he's like throwing stuff at him. It's just it's like, I think Hulk is better in this than in any other movie that he's in. And when he turns back into Bruce Banner, that's really good too, especially because Bruce is insecure about like, well, hey Thor, do you really want to be my friend? You're just using me to get to Hulk. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there that's going on that I think is really good. What else we got here? All right, so humor. This movie's really funny. I think this movie is almost as funny as Guardians. Lots of really good stuff there. Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master of Sakaar. Wow, he is so great. He is just, I mean, I already love Jeff Goldblum, especially he's in one of my favorite movies of all time, in Jurassic Park. But he's so good in this. And especially him and his henchwoman, they're hilarious together. Like, there's a moment where like they're like, we found your brother, or, I guess who had betrayed him or something, and so Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster has got this like big wand, and he touches his brother with it, and it melts him in this like very violent, death. And then later, the Grandmaster is talking with Thor, and Thor like interrupts him or something, and then the henchwoman like hands him the melt stick, and he's like, "Why are you handing me the melt stick? He was interrupting. That's not a capital violation." Um, and yeah, she's and then later there's like a rebellion, right? Like because the Grandmaster is kind of like the ruler, like the ruling emperor of this place, and he's got all these people under his oppression. But because Thor is escaping and causing all this chaos, there's like a revolution. And so the henchman says to the Grandmaster, she says, "The slaves have armed themselves." And he goes, "Ooh, I don't like that word. Fine, the
Yeah.
prisoners with jobs have armed themselves. That's fine."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just so many like little moments like that are just wonderful, and like his little mannerisms, it's great. He's fantastic.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, Korg, played by the director
Mm.
Taika
Mhm.
Waititi, he is awesome. He's
Yep.
like so charming and funny, and
Mhm.
just like he has this super dry delivery of all of his lines that just make them even better.
Mm.
Um, it wasn't as funny this time, but I remember the first time I watched this movie, and you get to the end after like the big battle, and all the heroes are kind of like gathered together in the denouement, and they want to know like, okay, well, where are we going next? And Thor's like, Meek, like, where's your home planet? Like, let's go there. And Meek's in Korg's arms, and Korg's like, oh, he's dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
I stepped on him during the final battle, and I just felt so bad I've been carrying him around this whole time.
Yeah.
I just died. I thought that was the funniest thing ever. Um, so yeah, so that was really good. I'll finish talking about the things that I like, which there are a lot, and then I'll talk
Uh-huh.
about the like.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
already
yeah.
said one of the things I don't like, the Hulk reveal in the trailer.
Mm.
Um, Hela fighting the Valkyries. There it is a real brief scene, but there's like this moment where Valkyrie is kind of having a flashback of when she fought against Hela with all of
Mhm.
her, sister Valkyries and was defeated, and it's just beautiful. Like it's
Yeah.
so well done. The whole thing's in like super duper slow motion. There's
Yeah.
this really stark lighting, and the way everything is like the framing and the composition. It really looks like one of those classic master painters,
Mhm.
like the
Mhm. Mhm.
oil paintings where they're trying to
Yep.
like capture a historic battle,
Mhm.
and it just looks like that captured in cinema, and it's so breathtaking. It's just so good.
Yeah.
So I love that, especially because like they could have just done a flashback that was this gritty, muted, super fast, like camera jerky, just cliche battle scene, and they didn't
Right.
do that.
Right.
Um, and it's so much more effective for it, and so much more artful. And so I
Mhm.
loved
Mhm.
it. Already talked about how likable Thor is. Um, we already talked about Thor. Thor's sad in the smoldering fire. Oops, sorry. Humbling your heroes. Oh yeah, there's a moment at the very end that's really funny. There's a really good joke where the whole plan in the final moments is that Hela's too powerful, so the only way to defeat her is to actually let the fire demon, the fire god from earlier,
Ragnarok happen.
Surtur,
Yeah.
like unleash him, right? So he can
Yeah.
destroy Asgard and kill Hela. When he gets unleashed, and after Hulk has defeated Fenris, the wolf, he immediately sees the giant, Surtur,
Yeah.
leaps to go start punching and fighting him. And both Thor and Valkyrie are like, "No, what are you doing? You
Yeah,
big
yeah,
dumb
yeah.
idiot! Can you just not smash for once?" And Hulk's like, "It's a big monster."
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was really fun. Oh, and then at the very end of the movie, there's another really good joke too, where uh, they see Surtur like taking his sword and like
Oh,
plunging it into Asgard, and it's like
yep.
all crumbling, and they're all on a ship watching this, all the Asgardians, and Korg is like trying to be reassuring. It's like, hey, don't worry about it, guys. Like it's gonna be fine. Like there's a lot of wreckage right now, but as long as the foundations are in place, we will rebuild this place,
Yeah.
and it will become a haven for travelers all across the galaxy. The whole thing just completely explodes. It's like, oh, well, those
Yep.
foundations are gone.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, that was really good.
That's so cool.
Okay, I think I got through all of the stuff that I thought was really good. I really, now that I'm looking at my list, I only have one thing that I didn't like,
Mm.
and that is Hela fighting the entire Asgard army. Um, it's again the same sort of like, well, at least in this case, she's not trying to take over and kill the whole universe. So thank
Mhm.
God, yay!
Mhm. Mhm.
Finally, a movie that's not about that. She does have like aspirations to, colonize and to have create an empire. But at least her plan isn't just like, I'm going to blow up the universe, which is what, most villains seem to do. But the,
Yeah.
the problem that I have with it, though, is that when you see her, when she shows up, because she's been like away, locked away in some dimension or something, because like Odin has trapped her away for a long time. But when Odin dies, when he passes
Mhm.
away, she's no longer trapped, so she can come back. But when she comes back, she obviously doesn't have an army. She doesn't have any followers, and she faces off with the Asgardian army and tells them like, "Hey, I'm Hela, the rightful heir to the throne. Lay down your weapons and join me." And obviously they don't, and so then she fights them, and she kills the whole army. She fights this entire army and kills all of them. And um, when you have a hero that's that powerful, it's like, well, why does she even need an army? Like, why did she even
Mm.
try to get that army? Why does she even go and create this sort of like undead army that she creates? She clearly doesn't need it. She's so powerful. Like, what's the point?
Mhm.
Um, that's kind of frustrating. I don't like it when it's just not interesting to me when any character, especially like villain characters, are so powerful that none of the other things that they do really make sense. It's like,
Yeah.
well, why bother? Um, yeah, and why do you even want to take over Asgard? Like, if you're that powerful, and there must be some other place that's even more impressive.
Mhm.
Um, anyway, but really, other than that, like one complaint, I don't really have a lot of bad to say about this movie. I was just so impressed, so thrilled with it, and genuinely surprised. I didn't think they could do it. This movie saved Thor for the MCU,
Yeah.
and did it in style. And man, this movie's hilarious and really fun and enjoyable, and the character interactions are great. Uh, I love Thor in this movie. Like he is such a good hero. So yeah, right to the top of my list, top of S
Mm-mm-mm.
tier.
Nice. Well,
What do you think,
also
Chris?
that again, amazing review. I also love this movie. Yeah, to me, I think Thor Ragnarok was the best Thor that we got because the first one was the second one was, but this one, it just skyrocketed up for me, and it was funny, it was entertaining. I watched it more than once. Although I will say this movie does suffer from the shitty villain syndrome. Hela is such a
Mm,
badass character, but she just dies in the end with no, like, all right, there's no all right, she's so powerful, she's awesome, now she's dead. All right, what next, right? Obviously, like the whole Asgard is blown up to pieces, but for her, it's not really, it's not a good character. I mean, it's not like she marries, you know, Thanos or anything, and they form up to become like, uh, uh, to destroy the whole world and whatnot. But yeah, this movie to me suffers from the shitty villain syndrome. Okay, with that said, though. I thought it was a really good movie. Again, it's super funny. What I will concentrate on are the relationships. This movie helped me understand Loki a little bit more. It made me realize that he actually does care about his foster father, right? Because when they were in I don't know, the new Asgard, when they were looking at the overlooking at the they were in a green field overlooking
Mm-hmm,
like a
hmm.
cliff or something like that. Um, you can tell, you can when you look at Loki's face, you can see that he actually is very sad, and he knows what's about to happen, and he's like, you could see that he loves his father, and when his father actually does disappear, it was like a dichotomy of, like he hates his father, but at the same time he loves his father. So, and at that moment in time, he knows that we as the audience see him loving his father. So I thought that was really cool. And also the relationship between Loki and Thor, it's still up and down, is very volatile, and it's like Loki is still the trickster at the end of the movie. He's still trying to pull the prank, but Thor is wise enough this time around to know be one step ahead of Loki, right? And so I thought that was a lot of fun. Um, Man, what can I say about this? I really love this film. The relationships, talk about that. Oh, we saw Doctor Strange in this movie. I really,
Yeah.
I'm totally agree with you, dude. I'm starting to really hate the fact that we are getting spoiled with all the good bits and pieces of the movie in the trailers and everything. Had I not known, you know, Doctor Strange would be. Actually, I'm sorry. It wasn't in the trailer. It was in the the super ending. I forgot the ending end credit, right? We see like a little bit of a Doctor Strange. I kind of wish I didn't see that. Obviously, when I saw that at whatever film it was at the end of, I was like, oh, cool, that's awesome. But I kind of wish I didn't, because actually seeing him in here is like, wow, that is such a awesome little moment. You got Doctor Strange, and you got Thor, and you got Loki threatening Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is just like, yeah, whatever. All right, let's make a portal, send them on their way. And I thought that was so cool. Uh, yes, it's absolutely gorgeous film. I didn't know who Taika Waititi was. I was like, I have no idea who this director is, and they say it's funny. He's funny. All right, we'll see, because the first two movies has been kind of one is mediocre, the other one is really awful. I did not have great hopes for this movie. I went in with super super low expectations, but I was absolutely excuse me, I was extremely blown away. And yeah, it's just the fact that Asgard was blown up. It's like all hope is lost, right? All hope is lost. What now? What's going to happen, And we don't know what happens until later on, in the Infinity War. It's like, holy crap, that's, man, Asgard is really getting their shit kicked out of them, right? So I thought that was cool. Um, but yeah, I love this movie. This is one of my favorite Marvel movies. I also think it's a S tier. Oops, not. Oh crap. Yeah, I also think it's S tier. Uh,
Wow.
yeah. I Oh, come on. There you go. All right. And I would say this goes all the way above Civil War.
Wow.
So I'm with you, dude. This movie is like very much rewatchable. It's super funny, and when Hulk is like smashing uh Thor around in the arena, and then Loki's like, "Yeah, now you know how that feels." It's just like, oh God, it's like a reversal, and it's super fun. Yeah. God, I haven't seen this movie in a very long time. I wish I could say more to it. Oh, one of the things that made me question like the whole morality is like, who is actually right? It's like, was Odin like a real villain character? Because before he was also conquering with
Mm.
with Hela, and all of a sudden
Hmm.
he had a change of heart or something happened, but Hela is still bent on conquest, right? And we see like there's a undertone of Asgard was built upon like bad deeds, right? And then they made a turn, and then they built, they became better and better, right? So it was really interesting seeing the history of Asgard, like, when she threw that thing up in the ceiling and the whole thing cracked, and then above it was hidden like a real, like another. set of history that was hidden by Odin or something like that. So I thought that was really really cool, and yeah, that that's really fun. Again, super funny. I would definitely watch this movie above all else. I'm kind of ranking all these movies based on like watchability. Would I spend
Mm-hmm.
the day watching this versus something else, right? So yeah, Thor Ragnarok definitely is above everything else. Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
And really good points because I didn't even mention the like Loki's story arc because he kind of has like a real
yeah.
solid redemption arc here where he's kind of still being the, trickster, selfish a-hole, but in the end, he brings the ship to save everybody and he gets in there and
Right,
starts
right.
fighting. So yeah, good point. And yeah, I completely forgot about that like ceiling mural that reveals the
Yeah,
dark past of
right.
Odin and Hela.
Yeah, and I wish they would have done more with Hela, cause man, she was such a
Mm,
badass character, and all of a sudden she just,
totally.
dies with, fighting that fire monster.
Hmm.
But yeah, I totally agree with you. It's like, oh yeah, we no, those are just buildings. We still have the foundation, and then whoa, it's like, well, there goes the foundation. It's like, oh my God, it's so hilarious.
It reminds me of this joke in Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. Did you see that movie? Have you seen Groundhog Day?
Long time ago, long time ago.
Well, there's one scene where like Bill Murray has been reliving the day so many times at this point, he's like killing himself. Like he just doesn't even care because as soon as he dies, he just wakes up again the next day.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and he's in a truck and he's kidnapped the groundhog, Phil, I think, and he's letting Phil drive the truck. And so he's just sitting here and then the groundhog is like on the wheel and it's like chewing on something and it's like
Uh-huh.
steering the way and it drives the truck right off a cliff and Bill Murray's like love interest and her like camera because she's like a news reporter and her camera
Sure.
guy are there and they like see it happen and it goes over and it like crashes and she's like totally distraught and so the camera guy's like hey he might be okay and then right as he says that the wreckage explodes into this huge fireball and he's like oh well probably not now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Oh God,
Yeah, good
there's
jokes.
one there was one other thing I wanted to say, but I forgot. Yeah, well, if I cover it, it's fine. Yeah, this movie is awesome. I love it. It's one of the I know what I want to say. The fact that Thor didn't have his hammer, and then his father telling him
Mm,
that, the hammer was there
oh
to
yeah.
help focus your power. You are the power, so you don't need
Yep.
the hammer. So I'm just like, wow, that is badass. And that moment when he
Totally.
realizes that, he just unleashes like all this thundering and what, and that was one of the best, fights ever. Like, and talk
Oh
about
yeah.
the soundtrack too. I don't know what's it called. That song that that
Yeah.
song. It's so badass. It fits so perfectly with this movie. And yeah, after I watched it, I kept listening to the song, and it talks about the Norse mythology in that song. So I was like, holy cow, that is absolutely perfect. It matches so well. And so yeah, great art direction, great music, great dialogue, it's funny, um, good story arcs. What else? Yeah, it's a great film. I
Whole
love it.
package.
Yeah, the whole package. So I'm glad that we both agree on this. I don't think we were really agreeing
Very
on
few that
much.
we've completely agreed on.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
Iron Man and this and Iron
yeah.
Man 3. We also both totally
Right,
agreed on that one at the far other end of the spectrum.
right. Um, Gosh, I wish I could watch this again. Soon, soon, soon. I'll get Disney Plus very, very soon later on.
There you go.
All right. All right.
Um,
So
all right. So I've got this one ready to go. What are your predictions?
I'm gonna say SNS.
All righty. So I don't think we got anybody in the chat tonight. here we go. The Rotten Tomatoes critics ranking for Thor Ragnarok is S tier. Good
Yeah.
job, Chris. You got it. And you want to take a guess as to where it goes in there,
Yeah,
or do you
I'm
have it
I'm
placed already?
no, 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 no. I'm gonna say it's like above Spider-Man.
It is. It is not. It
Ah.
is below Iron Man.
Below Iron Man?
Actually, hang on a second. I think this got mixed up again because Iron Man, yeah, it goes Iron Man, then Thor, then Guardians. And I think Spider-Man was it tied for Guardians? But Iron Man should be at the top of this list, and then Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, sorry, I don't know how that happened. I must have not been paying attention.
Wait, wait, wait. So Iron Man is number one?
Yes, correct. So Iron Man's at the very top of S tier, then Thor Ragnarok,
Then uh-huh, uh-huh.
and then probably Spider-Man. Let's see here. Da, 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 da. Damn it. Yes, then Spider-Man, then Guardians, and then
Avengers?
Avengers is after Guardians, right?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, okay, correct. That's the correct order.
Interesting, interesting.
Yep, sorry about that.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
try
no
to
worries. No worries.
pay
Wow,
attention to
Iron Man is
these
still number
orders.
one. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that.
And then did we do the audience? We didn't do audience yet, right?
Nope, not yet.
All right, Rotten Tomatoes audience ranking for Thor Ragnarok. Let's get spicy.
Oh shit, are
B
you serious?
tier.
What the frack is wrong with the
Yep, I know, man.
audience?
I don't know, dude. Do you want to guess where it goes
What?
in there?
Let me see. Right here. Right
It actually goes
between.
below Guardians too.
Oh, interesting. Oh, wow. I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah,
I love Guardians,
well,
but
I guess it's
hmm,
actually tied with Guardians too, so it can go either before or
sure.
after.
All right.
But yeah, the audience was it's got both of those have an 87% from the audience, which is still good, but you know, it's not A tier and certainly not S tier.
Hmm. I would put. Oh God, I would put this in front of the. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's not my list. So.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the audience is kind of wacky, man, and things are gonna get even wackier, I think.
Really? Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Quick question. Should I make more room or should I start making these a little bit smaller?
Oh, um, let's see. Which that's the audience, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, we probably should. Yeah,
Okay.
either make them smaller or make some more room. I mean, we can always do that when we
Yeah, yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
cram another one in there if you want.
Sure. Yep. Very cool. Awesome. This was
Yeah, good session.
amazing job on your reviews, dude. It's
Thank
your
you.
reviews are so thorough and very, very good. Yeah, again, I wish I could watch a little bit more before I give my reviews on this. It's just been forever since I've seen any of these movies.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's helpful for me so far. It's been very helpful to like have like more details to go into the review, but
Mhm. Mhm.
with like I said, with the exception of Guardians 2, it really hasn't changed my tier ranking. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's helpful
Mhm.
to be able to go back and check them out.
Yeah.
Um, I do
God, this
have, let's see here.
Spider-Man Homecoming poster is so awful. They should
Yeah,
really fire the person who did this. It's so bad.
maybe they farmed it out.
Oh God, this is
Yeah, I do
awful.
have that. Okay. Um, well, yeah. I definitely don't have the energy, and I think we've already been running kind of long, so we'll
Yeah, yep.
save
Mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
next one for next time.
Nice. Very cool.
But
Sweet.
yeah, good session tonight.
Yeah, good
Well,
session.
real winners.
All right, so let me go ahead and stop streaming. Oh yeah, you're right. There's a little activity button here. That's interesting. We should
Yeah, a little
try that
rocket
out
ship.
sometime. Yeah, that's very cool. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out and watching this us ranking the tiers. I was a little bit shocked, due well, more or less in the audience how they rate it, but the audience is wrong. We are right. We are right. We're professionals. I'm kidding. But yes, yeah. Thank you again, Michael, for your amazing reviews. Because I could just like keep listening to you talk and analyze, and letting us know how you feel is like what works and what is not working, right?
Well, thanks for saying that. I appreciate the encouragement. Maybe I
Yeah.
should like start a YouTube channel or something talking about this. But
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate the kind
Yeah.
words.
Very cool. All right, guys. So you can check us out if you interested. Our information's in the link tree below or in the chat. If you want to follow me, go ahead and follow Lead Design Studio. If you want to follow Michael, check out his link tree slash ML Welker. And you can find me on my twitch.tv slash Lead Design Studio channels where I draw a lot of pinup girls. And apparently, man, like I had a stream yesterday and it was one of the most topical, let's just say, uh, streams that I've done. We talked a little bit about gun control as well as abortion.
Oh my
I was just,
gosh.
yeah, and I was just like, all right, we're really doing this, huh? All right, here we go then. And luckily, it was fine. It was fine. I didn't say anything that got me canceled or because most of the people in the chat agreed with my worldviews or whatnot. But it was fun. So yeah, if you guys want to join me at my channel, we do art, but sometimes we talk about stuff that I don't have a lot of knowledge about, but I just give my own personal opinions. And if you would like to hear, feel free to join. No promises. It won't make you mad, but who knows? Who knows? But yeah. And Michael, hand it over to you.
So Chris got the links in there already for you if you want to check out that stuff. Though I'm really not super active on social media. Though I do have plans to give you access to me in different ways at some point here. Things are still in the works. But for now, if you are into, if you actually really genuinely liked my content tonight, talking about kind of breaking down the stories, I do have a book called Blockbuster Blueprint, which is available on Amazon, which talks about how blockbuster stories work. So if that's interesting to you, you can go check that out. That's a way to support me. Otherwise, the best place to find me is going to be right here on the Creative Tavern every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And we'd love to have you join us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Again, the Discord is also in the chat if you are interested in. Hold on. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not either. Well, hold on. Oh no, no, no. It's social. God, there's just so many commands. There you go.
There it is.
Everything you can find is in that link right there. So if you would like to join our Discord, post some of your amazing artwork, or fashion design, anything that is created at all, we would love to see. And every Sunday, we will take a look at it. So until then, we will see you next time, Sunday, 7 p.m. PST. All right. Take care, guys. Bye. Take